I guess right now in my life, I'm trying to be a better friend to people. So I realize I don't reach out to people as much because I fear that I might annoy them. And it was funny because recently I was talking with my mother and she was saying she has that issue as well, where she doesn't want to reach out sometimes because she fears she might annoy the person or that, she's being a bother. And I feel the same way too. And I'm trying to change that. So last night, I just reached out to a couple of friends, checked in on them, see how they're doing, and that sort of stuff. I don't know why it's hard to reach out to people. I guess for me, not having like a close relation to my biological mother, and also the fact that my adoptive mother wasn't the easiest person to talk to. My emotional regulation usually came from being alone. I never really had someone I could confide in emotionally. And it's ironic because it's a generational thing. Like my mother didn't have like that space either. So my biological mother actually. So kind of repeated within me where I'm having trouble maintaining connections and bonding with people. I really don't know what to say when I interact with someone, even though they're my friend. It's weird. It really is weird because it feels like I'm being a bother to them. Like I only understand friendship when they come to me because it feels at that point like they want to talk to me or want to interact with me. And I feel like if I push myself into their space, it feels intrusive. It feels like they might not want me there. And I know it's easy to think, okay, if they didn't want you there, they would just tell you they don't want to talk to you or they don't want you around. But I don't ever want to feel like I'm a burden to someone's time, to someone's space. And I think that comes from not feeling loved as a child, of not feeling wanted, because psychologically, all I want is for people to want me. So if I intrude, it feels not genuine. Like I might just be imposing myself. Like, hey, I'm here, pay me attention. Or like, hey, I'm here, love me. I get really amazed when my cat does it. My cat can come up to me and just be like, hey, I'm here. I'm precious. I'm beautiful. Just pat my head. And I'm like, okay. It's like so weird for humans, for me as a human to do it. If someone did that to me, if my friend did that to me, I'm like, okay, cool. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll pat your head. But if I did that to someone else, I'm like, you're being super needy, Shaquille. Get a hold of yourself. You're not wanted. You're not loved. That's it. I figured it out. There's a constant rhetoric in my head that I'm not wanted and I'm not loved. So of course, if that rhetoric is always there, I'm not gonna go to someone and say I want some company because the rhetoric in my head is no one wants you, no one likes you. Why are you even here? Shoot. So that's pretty harsh, but that's the background rhetoric in my head. That's why I feel so uncomfortable going to people and asking for any sort of attention or kinship. And that is something I'm trying to change currently. That is something I want to evolve from. Because what happens when I do that? They start to feel like I don't care about them as friends. And I understand that deeply because I don't feel like my mother cared for me, my biological mother, the one that wasn't there when I was growing up, because she never reached out much. She never really made sure she was an active part of my life. So I completely understand the feeling of not feeling considered or cared for when you have a friend who doesn't reach out to you. So it's like I have to get past that generational trauma, that generational ego of feeling like I'm not loved and I'm not worthy, and step into the realm of I am already loved, I'm already worthy, and it's okay if I go to people and I ask them for company and attention. And it's not as easy as it sounds because it's so unfamiliar. When you do it, it will feel wrong. And that's the thing that I always complain about with people, especially in the spiritual community, who talk about, oh, only do it if it feels right. The thing with that is that we have some bad, I would call it programming in our being that we need to correct. And when we're correcting it, it's not going to feel good. So you can't always say, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Because if we only did that, we will only repeat what's familiar. And what's familiar isn't always right, isn't always good for us. So stepping into this realm of, I'm trying to be a better friend to people, I have to step over that uncomfortable feeling that I get when I try to reach out to someone. That feeling like I'm not worthy and I'm a bother and I'm going to annoy them or something. Because what will most likely happen is that most of the time people are just very grateful that you remembered them, you know, that you considered them. I think we have such a negative bias. Well, those of us who are traumatized by, not having a supportive parent, we have a negative bias that whenever we reach out, we're going to make the other person uncomfortable or we're going to be a bother because we don't look at ourselves as good. That's what happens when we have parents who never really were there for us emotionally. We have an issue with self-image and we are either too broken, something's wrong with us, the world doesn't care for us. Like there's always a negative mirror that we see whenever we look at ourselves. I'm not good enough. No one loves me. I'm worthless. That's the negative self-talk that gets into us and stops us from forming genuine connections with other people. It only makes sense that if you don't see yourself as someone who is beautiful, worthy, a joy to be around, you're going to avoid being in people's lives. You're going to avoid forming friendships. You're going to avoid, connection. So again, it comes back to self-worth, and healing it takes a long time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You can't just wake up and be like, I'm worthy. I got this. No. You're going to wake up and still feel the same way. But what's different now is that you know what it is. And that when you try to form connections, you're aware of it. So when I try to message a friend and I feel that bad feeling, like, oh, why does this feel so hard, so difficult? I know what it is. And I know that that feeling isn't necessarily good. It's not a sign. We like to take our bad feelings as signs all the time. Not every bad feeling is a sign that you shouldn't do something. Sometimes a bad feeling might be a sign that you should do it. But we have to have awareness. So I know what this feeling is. It's a feeling of unworthiness. It's a feeling of being a bother, of not being someone who is a delight in other people's lives. And when I reach out to people now and I feel that feeling, I can acknowledge it. I'm like, no, Shaq, you are worthy. You are a delight in people's lives. People do like you. People want to be around you. And it's a constant reprogramming. You have to do this constantly. You're going to notice your self-worth issues in almost every aspect of your life. And when you do see it, you have to be conscious of it. Be conscious of it and then reprogram it as you're doing it. It's a conscious set of reprogramming all the time. Whenever you feel uncomfortable, analyze that feeling. Why do you feel uncomfortable? And then once you find the truth, once you find the source, reprogram that. Reprogram that negative thought in your brain that's telling you that you weren't good enough, that you weren't worthy. Reprogram that. And it will take a while. And it will not be easy at first, but repetition and consistency. Very important for self-care, which is my previous video. Repetition and consistency. If you keep at it, it will get better. Reprogramming takes time and it takes patience. You have to acknowledge that you're worth the time and you're worth the patience. And that healing this part of yourself, healing this part of myself, will enrich your life. It will bring you better connections, and better connections will bring you better opportunities in life, more fond memories in life. Your life is waiting for you to evolve. The world is waiting for you to evolve. Yeah, that's my reflection for today. Reprogramming my connections with people, improving how I'm communicating with them, and trying to heal that part of myself that tells me I'm not worthwhile. No one will love me. No one will care for me. And eventually, I will find my tribe and my happiness. Thank you for watching.